Hey, what's up, rock stars? It's Rox with a little bit of talk about what's at the top of the blog, so let's get to it. Stars, first story up, we got to talk about YSAP. Y'all already know what that is, y'all stupid ass president. Looks like they are starting the impeachment process next week. They're saying that the first open hearing will be on November 13th, and it will have testimony from William Taylor, George Kent, amongst others. The second hearing is on November 15th, and it will include testimony from U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch. And they're saying that she was pressured by Trump to tweet out support of him if she wanted to keep her job. There will be more names that they are going to announce, as the dates get closer. But next week, you guys, I'm still taking a wait and see approach. For whatever reason, I just don't ever trust it. Okay, he's gotten away with so much, but I mean, this is a step in the right direction, right? And it's looking like more and more people are for at least this, the beginning of this process and just kind of seeing what's what. And they're saying that allowing the public to hear these people's testimony will let, the U.S. citizen make a informed decision on whether or not they need to go forward with this process. So we'll see. And if you guys don't know why they're starting this impeachment process, it's because they're saying that Trump withheld $400 million in U.S. military aid to the Ukraine unless the president committed to investigating this company. What was the name of the company? Burisma Energy Company. And, that's tied in, I believe, in with the Bidens and all of that. Also, some conspiracy theory with Ukrainian interference in the 2016 election. And they're saying that request came at the behest. Is that the word that I'm trying to use? Look, nigga trying to get big and probably don't have shit to do with it. But I think that's the right word. Let's just say at the request of Rudy Giuliani, who is Trump's personal lawyer. They're saying that he pressured the Ukrainian government to kind of, fall in line and make this happen. So we will see. All right. But it's been a lot going on in politics ever since, for the last 3-4 years, it's just been a lot. So this is just adds more to the pie. As far as the elections that went on November, what was that? I guess it was November 5th. People are very excited about the fact that Kentucky and Virginia both had big wins for the Democrats. I believe Virginia won in both the House and the Senate, I should say, and is now a completely blue state as far as the control there politically. And then in Kentucky, Democrat Andy Beshear beat Republican Matt Bevin by something like 5,400 votes to become the new governor. Now, Bevin has not conceded, but he will. Of course, he wants a recount, which I believe I would do too if I was in his shoes. 5,400 is very close. But we know, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens here, because this was sort of the same situation that happened down in Florida when we had to go through the whole recount, and the Democratic Party ended up losing. You know his name. What is his name, you guys? Well, I can't think of his name. The black guy. So, it didn't work out in his favor. The votes stood the way that they came in. So we're going to see if there is any interesting shift in vote numbers when they do the recount. But, if everything is on the up and up, it'll stay the way that it is. And Bevin will have to step down. Or not step down, but, concede and move on to the next, just turning the page. It's time for the new governor to come in. I thought it was pretty funny, though, that Trump, they're saying that he basically dragged Bevin over the over the finish line, and he was campaigning there even as close as the day before, and had said to his constituents and those who were there in support that, if Bevin didn't win, then it would be a bad look for him. You know, that the world would be looking on and saying, oh, this is the worst thing in the history of the world, you know, and it would make him look bad. Well, I mean, you said it, we didn't. But yeah, he's out of there, and we'll see if this makes any major changes in the election to come next year. All right, so that's my stab at politics this week. Did you guys make a difference and vote, especially in those 2 states on election day? You guys, next story. 21 years ago, Rodney Reed was sentenced to death after being convicted for the 1996 rape and murder of Stacey Stites. I believe that's how you say her last name. It's a woman that he was seeing at the time. It was a what is the word? It was a consensual relationship. However, it was not her official relationship. This was an affair that she was having. She actually was officially engaged to a Jimmy Fennell, who was a local police officer. And actually, he was the prime suspect in the original case, I believe, in 1996 for her rape and murder. But Rodney Reed ended up being the one convicted for this rape and murder because they were going off of the DNA of his semen being in her, which I just told you guys, if they were in a relationship, then that wouldn't be out of the ordinary. You know, that wouldn't be something that would be strange. And there would have to be all these other circumstances that you would think that they would take into consideration. I didn't do no in-depth research on this story, so I can't say whether or not I believe that he did it or didn't do it. But what I will say is, when this man is about to be executed very soon, and there has been, you know, more evidence that has been presented that could actually exonerate this person, then I think they kind of owe that to him to kind of halt the process, just so that the investigation can be done and they can see what happens. I mean, if the Innocence Project, which you guys know is one of these organizations that only take on cases where it is clear that the defendant was wrongly accused and jailed, if they feel that it is serious enough for them to get involved in trying to see, you know, if this new evidence is going to exonerate him, then I think that we owe that as a society to this man. But like I said, I don't know the particulars. What I do know is that there have been many people who know more about this topic, more about this case, who believe that he's innocent, who believe that he is being unfairly accused and will be put to death. And if he is, you know, if he is put to death for something that he didn't do, then, you know, the system did not work. So there is a petition out, change.org, for Rodney Reed. If you do believe that he is innocent, or at least needs a fair shake at another trial, you know, presenting all of the evidence, then you guys go on out and sign the petition. They say that there is over 100,000 signatures now, and we'll see if the governor, you know, takes that into consideration and just kind of puts a stop on everything until they can see what's what. Robyn Crawford has a new book that's coming out, a new memoir, and it is called A Song for You, My Life with Whitney Houston. I've told you guys about this book. She made the announcement a while ago, you know, somewhere almost a year ago, that she was, you know, in the process of writing this book. So it doesn't come as a surprise. Many people are upset, though, that she's kind of opened the vault to her and Whitney Houston's secrets. I must say that I am one of those people who feel like whenever it's a situation when we're talking about outing someone and their sexuality, I'm generally not for it. Okay, if they haven't come out, then I don't know if it's the other person's responsibility to out them as well, especially in this case with Whitney Houston not being alive. You know, I will say that I don't think that Robyn would have even said anything about this had she still been alive. And I know that Robyn is probably taking on the approach that so many people have talked about her and Whitney Houston's relationship, you know, on the sidelines anyway. There's been movies, there's been books, there's been TV shows, documentaries that have all mentioned her name. So I guess she feels like, hell, they all talking about me, making money off of me. Why wouldn't I do the same? It is her story. So I get where she's coming from, but you know, I just don't like the fact that, you know, she outs Whitney Houston. I mean, and I use that term loosely because everybody already kind of had a suspicion or basically knew that Whitney Houston was in this relationship with her secretly. You know, you just don't have a woman that's always around another married woman, you know, to the point where even the husband had a problem with her being around. So I think we all knew, you know, what it was. Did we need this particular confirmation? Well, some people just like to read into people's lives and know what happened. But I just hate the fact that Whitney Houston has been dead for 7 years, and for 7 years, this woman has not been able to rest in peace. I mean, it has just always been something about her. And, you know, that's the only bad part about it, other than the fact that, you know, she's officially come out now and said that yes, they did have a relationship, but Whitney Houston did put a stop to it because, you know, back in the 80s, it's not like it is today. People weren't accepting of the gay culture and the community back then. Whitney Houston was America's sweetheart, you know, and everybody loved her. The fact that she would be gay or coming out as bisexual or lesbian or whatever you want to call it, people were not, well, they were afraid to see if people were going to accept it. I mean, I believe that back in the day, a lot of people did believe it, but just turned the blind eye because they just loved Whitney Houston so much. So people didn't even want to think of her in that way. But, you know, if Whitney never wanted it to come out, you know, mostly because of her being America's sweetheart, and then also even if it was out of respect for her extremely strict mother or fear of her extremely strict religious mother, whatever it was, you know, it's just kind of, you know, it's just sort of unfortunate that it has come out this way now. But I mean, it is what it is, right? This is Robyn's life. And I don't know, I haven't read the book, but from the reviews that I have seen, they're saying that she's strictly kept it as general and basic as she could. I don't know if she's gotten into any salacious stories or anything like that. So it wasn't disrespectful, but then is it respectful to out somebody who is dead and can't come back, you know, or say anything about it? Yeah, it's not, I wish that she wouldn't have done it, but other people have said it, so I guess she says she's gonna say it too. What do you guys think about that, though? Are you guys with the fact that Robyn is just telling her truth? Because that's what we always say nowadays, you know, kind of takes the responsibility off of the person telling their truth to, you know, it takes away the responsibility of trying to respect what the other person would want, you know, and it's just sort of like, this is me, this is mine, this is this is what's happened to me. But, you know, the fact of the matter is it happened to two people, you know, and one's not here. So you guys tell me what you think about that. Will you be reading her book, A Song for You, My Life with Whitney Houston? Let me know in the comments. All right, you guys, so it's time to have our conversation about the intelligent adjacent. I've been trying to tell you guys for the longest that the nigga's stupid. And you guys, we have been back and forth about how I feel about T.I. I like him as an artist. I like him as a, you know, as a rapper, but just his personal ways have turned me off from him. And this story is no different. So everybody knows about the conversation about him thinking that it was so cute and funny to tell a story about how he goes with his daughter, Deijah, to the OBGYN annually to make sure that her hymen is intact. Okay, and he goes on with this whole cute little story about how he's there the day of her birthday. He puts a little note on her door. It says, you know, gynecologist appointment tomorrow, 9 a.m. Okay. There's a little little something flying around. I don't even think I caught it. And then, sure enough, next morning, he's there at the doctor's office. You know, the doctor is even uncomfortable. Like, yeah, you know, I think Deijah now is 18 or 19 years old. But I think, I think you have to, you have up till the child is 16, and you have to have some sort of release of the patient, whether or not they want to even let their parents know. If their child wants to have their medical information when it comes to like sexual history like this. And, you know, he just kind of sort of like, yeah, doc, I know that we got to sign the paperwork. Deijah, go on and sign that paperwork so, you know, he can be comfortable letting your daddy know if your hymen is intact or not. Okay. And she signs the paperwork. They get to the business of checking his hymen. And then the doctor lets him know that yes or no, it is still intact. And up until now, anyway, it is. Okay, and he's proud of that fact. Now, I'm just sitting here listening to him or reading it because I didn't actually hear the actual interview, but it frustrated me so much. And you know, whenever I get frustrated, it's hard for me to put my thoughts together. So I'm gonna try to just kind of separate. First of all, let's just talk about. Everybody is saying how weird and creepy it is for a man to even want to be involved with the sexual life of their daughter. Okay. And I'm not here to judge how people raise their kids, because people do what they want to do, what they think is best for their kids. And if that works in their household, then fine. Okay. It's not the way that I would raise my child. It's not the way that I would want my husband to be involved in my daughter's life. But I'm sure there's things that possibly we have done with our children and as far as raising them that other people wouldn't agree with. People keep saying that it's incestual almost. And you know what? I don't get that vibe from T.I. I don't believe that he wants to be involved in his daughter's life or anything in that way. But I think that he is more so of a controller. This is all about controlling women. I've told you guys before that he is a male chauvinist. He has less respect for women than he does for men. He thinks women aren't as smart as men. I mean, I can go on and on over the things that he has said over the years, right? And so I believe that this is just another way for him to just kind of control what he can with the women in his life. And I just don't understand. I want to know, what is he going to do? They were talking about on Breakfast Club this morning as well. And of course, Charlemagne and Envy were like all over. Yeah, they would do the same thing. They don't see anything wrong with it and all of that. My question is, so when you find out that the hymen is broken, okay, then what happens? What's next? Okay, does he put her on lockdown? She can't go anywhere? Does he beat her ass? I want to know, what is the next step when we find out that this girl's hymen has been broken? You know, we don't ever even get to that point. I tweeted Charlemagne, which I never tweet celebrities because I don't be wanting to get wrapped up into, you know, the back and forth and other people getting involved and the shit just blowing up. And Charlemagne actually has tweeted me back once or twice before in the past. So I was wondering if he was going to tweet me back, but he didn't. But I was just sort of like, why do you guys think that this is okay? This woman, I mean, that girl is 18 now. She's not 16. So, I mean, even though I wouldn't want that to happen at 16 is still legally, technically a child. When you're 18 years old, yeah, that's still your child, but legally they're considered an adult now. Okay? Not adult enough to drink, but an adult enough to be tried as an adult if you get into some shit, right? So, you know, now you're infringing on my personal and trying to, I mean, I guess the idea is to scare her into not having sex. And let me tell you something, anybody out there that has kids, that has teens that are young adults like that, y'all know, I mean, you can be the best fucking parent around and these kids will still do what they want to. I would like to think that I and my husband have raised my kids to make great decisions and for them to think a certain way and to behave a certain way. And the fact of the matter is, even I have been shocked by some of the things that my kids have told me. Okay? Shit that I'm like, you fucking know better. Like, what is this? look like that's blue spit or something. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to get this interior clean. I kept seeing it out the corner of my eye. I was like, that is annoying. Anyway, even my kids have surprised me with the way that they think, because that's not what I've taught them. Okay. And, you know, I sometimes have to always have conversations. We talk about this all the time. You know, you have to have conversations with your kids, because these kids will be thinking some shit that's so way out and wrong, you know, and then you got to go in and correct it. But, I say is way out and wrong, but a lot of times what I might think might necessarily be right. And that's when I have to remember that my kids are growing up. Everybody has their own mind, their own way of thinking and all of that. You just have to trust that you have given them all of the tools necessary to make the best decisions. Okay. And that comes to even when it comes down to having sex, you know, your kids are going to have sex one day. They're going to be in relationships one day. They're going to get engaged, married, have kids, you know, and some of us do that younger than others. And there's really nothing that you can do about that. It's frustrating to me that he's put down some sort of, and I don't even know if what he's doing is the reason why. I mean, we're going to get into this hymen thing, but just for saying sake, I don't even know if the reason that he's so fucking anal about this hymen being intact, if that is still keeping Deja from doing what she wants to do. Okay, maybe she just doesn't even want to have sex right now. Okay, maybe that's just not on her. At that age, I wasn't having sex. So maybe that's just it has nothing to do with him. It's just like, damn, I'm not pressed that way. Okay. And he's taking it to believe like, oh, I didn't put the hammer down, you know, oh, I didn't told my, you know, she knows she can't have sex. And it's just frustrating that men think that this is what women need, because we are not old enough to make our own decisions for our own bodies, you know? So yeah, when I read that, I was just like, he is fucking crazy, you know? And then we can really get into the official talk about hymens. All right. And, Planned Parenthood yesterday got into the whole Twitter discussion about hymens, and I'm just going to read to you a few things that they said. It says, quote, I don't know who needs to hear this, but virginity is a made-up social construct, and it has absolutely nothing to do with your hymen. A virgin is someone who has never had sex, but sex means different things to different people, so virginity does too. Many don't care what it means or thinks it matters. Whatever you believe, the fact is you can't tell if someone has had sex by checking their hymen, end quote. Okay. Now we can get into all kind of discussions, because we have heard this over the years, that your hymen is just like a thin layer of tissue that kind of covers the opening of your vagina. Okay. Your hymen can get torn or can be stretched from many other things, and we've talked about, you know, not sex, sports, bike riding, you know, if you fall and doing the splits, you know, if there's a number of things that can still damage, or not damage, but break or spread or widen the hymen. I was reading up on it, and Planned Parenthood even said that the hymen actually has a hole in it already, because it has to allow for, you know, when you're on your cycle, for these things to pass and all of that. So it's not like it's just completely like closed off, like, you know, mummified. There's already an opening there, and you know, it gets widened or broken or flushed away, or whatever the best word is. My rock star gynecologists out there, the real ones, please. I know I actually have a couple, because you have chimed in on different things before in the past, but you know, this is such a crazy conversation. And then, you guys, when we think about sex and virginity, It was a long time before I believed that oral sex was actually sex. I used to think that, because even when I was a virgin, I had had oral sex before I had actually had penetrative sex. And so I still was considering myself a virgin. And people were like, oh no, Roxanne, you did it before you say that you did. And it wasn't that long before, so let me not be, out there like I was out there doing all of that. But what I'm saying is, some people think oral sex is just playing around. That's not necessarily sex. Some people don't believe that sex is anything until you have been penetrated. Some people don't think that anal sex is sex. Blowjobs, they don't think so. It's like Planned Parenthood said, it just all depends on what you believe sex is, okay? But him just going, the story is just so crazy to me. It is just so crazy to me, and mostly it is more men who think that T.I.'s way of doing things makes sense. That shit is just crazy. It's just crazy. I saw on the YBF Daily, I believe, on Instagram that Deijah doesn't seem like she is with this whole process that T.I. puts her through every year, because even though she hasn't spoken out about it, she has liked a lot of comments where people are saying, that he's crazy, that that's her body, that, he has no right, and yada, yada, yada. So she definitely, well, I won't say definitely because I won't know that until she makes a statement, but it doesn't seem that she, really likes the fact that T.I. does that as well. But that's her daddy, and but that girl seems to have the thing about it is you don't even trust her enough to let her live her life, and that you think that she's going to be fine not having sex and saying she's not going to have sex. I mean, that girl seems to have her head on her shoulders good. I have seen her but respond to men coming for her. She's a beautiful girl, very, very pretty. And there's older men that's always hitting on her, and she always, turns them down. I'm only 16, I'm only 17, I'm only 18. Why are you trying to talk to me? This girl seems to have her head on her shoulders good. So we don't need you in there trying to, anyway, y'all done spent way too much time on that. Y'all let me know. I'm asking you guys to let me know what you think, and I'm gonna be so irritated if people be down there like, I understand what he's saying, especially if you a woman, okay? But if you are a woman, I'm not trying to stop you from making your comments. The good thing about being here is that I understand people have different feelings and views. So if you do agree with him, then maybe you could just shed some light and let us know, why you do. But either way it goes, y'all just let me know. Well, I can't be the only one that was frustrated with that shit though, right? And then in Real Housewives of Atlanta news, we always roll our eyes and just kind of feel like Eva Marcille on the show is just being extra and doing too much when it comes to the topic of her baby daddy, Kevin McCall, or I don't even know if she considers him the baby daddy anymore. I mean, she had the baby's last name changed to her current husband, Michael Stern's last name. I think he has adopted her. Well, I don't know if you can adopt somebody if the parent hasn't given up. Yeah, I don't really know if an adoption has formally taken place or whatever. But I think she probably would call him like sperm donor at this point. But anyway, we always think that she's doing too much when she talks about him, and she's talking about moving around and not feeling safe and everything. But I'm telling you guys, Kevin McCall is something, he is not well mentally. And he was here in Atlanta. They had a court case, a custody case that he had to go to the Fulton County Courthouse here, and he got into an altercation with the sheriff or the bailiff before he could even get into court, you guys. And they said that he was live streaming, which first of all is a no-no in the courthouse. You know that they don't like that. All right. A lot of the people here in Atlanta at least know that Fulton County, they say that them sheriffs and bailiffs up in there do not play that shit. Okay, that they are maybe even stricter than other courthouses. I don't know, but that's what the saying is that I've heard. So, you here to try to get custody of your child and get child support, this can't be the best way to introduce yourself. Okay, they say he got into this brawl. They ended up tumbling down the escalator, and no serious injuries. I think the guards' glasses were broke or something, but they pressed these charges against him, put him in jail, $11,500 bail. I don't know if he's still there or not, but I was just like, boy, this guy always has a different car every single day I see him at work. What do you do? But anyway, just hearing that story, that is concerning, because you were trying to get your child and you just kind of handing it over. So, prayers up for Eva, and even Kevin, because I just hate that he just seems to be so tormented that he can't, I think that every man should have a chance to be with their child. But if you have mental problems, or if there's some abusive issues there and domestic violence and all of that, then you're not going to be with your child. And I can't condone somebody that does all that things and hoping that the court would give him that. So I just know everybody there needs some help in one way or another. Hopefully he gets it. And then, we can talk about Kenya being on Wendy Williams' show. Kenya is just coming back to the show. She is going to be the one that's on the press tour. She's going around to different shows and radio stations, and we've seen her all over because she's just come back to the show, and it's a big deal. She was sat it out for a year. When she comes back, she's married, even though that's in jeopardy, and she's got a baby, and she was a favorite and all of that. So we get why she's on these shows, right? And she's on the show talking about the show Real Housewives of Atlanta, and of course she's going to talk about what's going on with Nene. Her and Nene have made it very clear that they don't like each other. And she's just talking about what is to come on the show. Supposedly Nene spit on her, or tried to spit on her, acted like she was going to, pulling up enough snuff to gather up and roll in her mouth so that she could spit it at her. And just other things that have happened on the show. And look, we'll see if this is bullshit or not as the show airs. But and she's talked about other things. There's reasons why she just doesn't like her, and that's fine, because I think we kind of already knew that. And I've seen Nene also on the tour for press for the show. I actually just yesterday I was watching Entertainment Tonight, and I had to look at this. Did anybody else see her on Entertainment Tonight last night? I was going to tweet about it, but my phone I didn't know where my phone was. But I was looking at it, and I was like, is that Nene? I mean, I looked and looked and looked. Now, let me tell you, even with high definition, honey, that makeup was on point. Normally we can kind of see her pores and all that. You couldn't see none of that. Her face looked so smooth that it almost didn't even look like her face. It looks like she's gotten her teeth redone. When I tell you, it looks like she has two white plates in her mouth. They are exactly the same size, exactly, like even straight. I thought she looked pretty. She just didn't look like Nene. I just had to keep looking like, is that Nene? I looked at her face. I know I'm making a big deal about it, but I just kept on looking. If anybody else watched it last night, you know what I'm talking about. And then she looked a lot wider, but then I have to remember that these people that are on these TV shows like this, they are very, very, very thin. So you get a regular average size woman up there next to the girl that's already on the show, and she gonna make anybody look big, okay? Or look bigger. She didn't look fat, but she looked wide. So, I've seen Nene doing things, and I'm sure the other girls are around doing their thing as well, but these two are the ones that you'll see the most. But Kenya's on Wendy Williams, fine. Afterwards, Wendy let us know that Nene actually called her and didn't necessarily have a problem with Wendy Williams, but just wanted to make it clear that she didn't spit on her, that you'll see all of these things when it comes on the show, and yada, yada, yada. I think Nene has a problem with the fans, or, the fact that Kenya is liked. I won't say well liked, because she has a lot of haters out there too. Nene might have some issue with that. And, you know, just guess she just feels like she just has to always say something to defend herself. But like she said, we'll see it all on the show. You know, just like on the show last season when they're saying that she beat up the cameraman and all that. Then when we saw it, we was like, bitch, she ain't did nothing to no cameraman. I mean, she pulled them, but she ain't, you know, they act like she had jumped on top of them and, you know, gave him a beat down. And she didn't. So, you know, we are intelligent enough to realize that the show is just, you know, sometimes they have to put 20 on 10 just for everybody to stay interested and want to watch. But, I like Nene, but I like Kenya too. I hate that they always got to be in this kind of shit, because it doesn't seem like it's just for the show. This seems like genuine, for real dislike. But I understand that the show, it has to happen. It has to go around. It has to be entertaining. People need to want to see it. So this is the shit that happens. But I think that a lot of times Nene might take the hate a little far and start to look like a hater. But I'm not willing to make any judgments on anybody yet until, you know, the show gets going good and we see, you know, who has, you know, how everybody is feeling, how everybody is acting, how everybody is moving. Kenya's back, and it ain't really nothing nobody can do about it. So you might as well just kind of get comfortable with her being there and try to, you know, live your life in spite of, you know. So that is it on the Real Housewives of Atlanta news. And then I guess since we're talking about Wendy Williams, you know, we can briefly just kind of jump on this whole Nicki versus Wendy Williams, Nicki Minaj versus Wendy Williams. So you guys know that Nicki Minaj and her new husband, Mr. Petty, can't think of his first name right now, I'm sorry you guys, but they were recently married. And they were a topic for Hot Topics on the Wendy Williams show. And Nicki Minaj had a problem with the way that Wendy Williams presented the story and went off on her in her comments. Now, Nicki Minaj has married someone who is a convicted felon. Who am I to say that he has or has not been rehabilitated in jail? But he did pay his debt to society as far as the legal system was concerned. He spent 4 years in jail for rape when he was somewhere around 16, 17 years old of another 16-year-old child, a girl. And then he served, I believe, 7 years on a manslaughter charge back in 2007. Okay, so whether or not you like the fact that she is with him, he's paid his debt to society. He is out free and clear. And, you know, if she has fallen in love with him, that has absolutely nothing to do with me or my life. Okay, so I can't be too concerned about who Nicki Minaj has chosen to live the rest of her life with, who she has fallen in love with. Y'all know how it goes. The heart wants what it wants. Nicki Minaj has to know that because she's Nicki Minaj, a huge name, right? She's gotten married. And there's some controversy behind her relationship. Well, not controversy behind the relationship, but behind him. Then he's going to be talked about. This is a big story right now. I think Nicki Minaj's problem is the way that Wendy Williams presents. I mean, Wendy Williams can be nasty in the way that she presents stories. You can tell when she's trying to be extra nasty, and extra messy, I should say, as opposed to her just kind of, if she has a certain type of liking towards you, well, I don't know, since she's been back since after her divorce, she kind of been going full hard on for everybody, like, but at one time she was starting to kind of soften on people that she actually liked. And I don't know if she likes Nicki Minaj or not, but yeah, we all will agree that Wendy Williams can be funky when she wants to. I don't know. I just want Nicki Minaj to just be happy. If she's happy, if she like it, I love it, child. If you married and you go off and just be married with your husband, go on and have these kids and do what you guys are going to do. You know, you can't really control the Wendy Williams of the world because you're a celebrity. It must be tiring to be a celebrity when you have this kind of thing going on in your life. But you know, you're a celebrity and it's just kind of you gonna be talk. So she has a right to defend herself, defend her husband, defend her marriage. But Wendy Williams has a job. She's on this show, and that's what she does. So that's it. But Nicki show wasn't happy with her, and she did go off on her. But Wendy Williams has such thick skin that I'm sure that came and bounced right off of her, and she ain't even thinking about it no more. That's how Wendy Williams rolls. All right, you guys, so the Popeyes sandwich chicken craze. I told you guys last week that it was actually being nationally released on last Sunday, but they actually released it, I think, like Friday before, because I saw on Messy Miles that he was actually at Popeyes and the line was long, so there was people that was already buying the sandwich. At any rate, it's here. It's back, and even though I don't see the lines as much as I did before, people still want them sandwiches. I still haven't had one. I still have no desire to stand in line of that nature, of that length, trying to get a sandwich. I will get one eventually, but that's when the hype will definitely die down, and then I'll go on and get a little tasty. But other than that, no. But they're talking about this stabbing that happened in Maryland. What's the guy's name? He's 28 years old, Kevin Davis, or what his friends and homies call him, Oside KD. Okay. He was at a Popeyes in Maryland and got into some sort of confrontation in the Popeyes, took it on outside. It escalated, obviously, and he was stabbed and killed. Because this argument started in Popeyes, everybody wanted to say that it was because of the chicken sandwich. But his family and friends are now saying that it has absolutely nothing to do with the chicken sandwich, and that the media has wrapped it around that just because of the fact that he was at Popeyes. But this was a disagreement between these two guys. I don't think they've caught the person that stabbed him, but there was a disagreement. They went outside, and that's what happened. So the media has a way of blowing these stories up and bringing either negative or positive attention. I mean, these long lines and fights and shit is never positive attention. Then, if I wanted to pull a race card on it, it's always our cousins that's out there that's getting into these type of confrontations and fights. And it's just a bad look, But they did want to make it clear that it has nothing to do with that sandwich. That the tempers flared and got high and somebody died as a result. So as of now, I guess it is still safe to go on and get the sandwich if you want. But yeah, I'm not in no hurry. Have you guys had the sandwich since it's returned? Have they made any changes? Because, sometimes when they start mass producing shit, they start cutting corners. So y'all just let me know if it's the same. I mean, yeah, I want to taste it, but we ain't doing them lines and shit, y'all. In quickies, you guys, prayers up for Angie Martinez, who was in a severe car accident the other day. She put out a statement, says she fractured her lumbar. I'm hoping I'm saying that right, and shattered her vertebrae. My husband broke his lumbar, lower lumbar. Let me not get it mixed up. Some time ago, and it was a terrible recovery. So I know that she is in for a lot of pain. I hate to put that on somebody, but that's what it is. She's going to have a long, extensive recovery. It's not saying that she won't be able to recover. I mean, if as long as she hasn't had extensive damage, I mean, that sounds bad, shattered vertebrae. But, they haven't said anything about whether there is any paralysis or she's going to be able to walk on her own. They haven't said anything about that. So we're just going to pray that, she's okay and on the mend and will eventually get back to her, her regular life. She had a lot going on right now. And when I read that, my heart was broken for her, because I know them back injuries, y'all. They ain't no joke. Unless you're Kevin Hart and then you're out lifting weights and driving with no problem again. Shout out to DeCarcia, who's one of the rock stars that I have taken I just love him. He's been around for years and years. He is a huge Pink fan, Pink, the singer. And he wanted me to let y'all know that she made some special achievements this week, you guys. She was the first woman to win the Billboard Legend of Live Award and won Tour of the Year after grossing $397.3 million, which is the highest of any woman of this decade. That is $400 million on her tours. Let me tell you, Pink does go all out on them tours, child. Just the acrobatics, honey. You get a Cirque du Soleil and a performance of her singing all together. Okay, so I ain't mad. Congratulations to her. Chris Brown let his followers know that he was having a yard sale at his house in Tarzana. He lives at 19602 Citrus Ridge Drive in Tarzana. And he put the address out there. I mean, they're saying that most people knew where Chris Brown lives anywhere. I mean, you can figure out where anybody lives these days. Fuck, I wouldn't just willy-nilly put my address out there. If you want my address, you're gonna find it, you know. But at the same time, I'm like, that's great. That's a brilliant idea. Like, you got all this shit that you probably have worn once or twice and have no plans of wearing again, and you know, you got your fans who would love to have a piece of you or something that you've worn, and you know, you're able to, I mean, he don't need the money, right? He can just kind of help his fans get us some memorabilia from him, and you know, shit that they actually can use and wear, and things that they probably wouldn't be able to afford anyway, you know. So I think that's great of him. You know, I would be pissed if I was his neighbor. You know, I'm sure his neighbors are sick of him anyway, because you're going to have this lines and lines of people out there. It was yesterday and today. So if you guys are in LA, you know, you can go on out there, join the line and see if you can get in. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of folks there, and I don't even know if they're letting everybody in. But it doesn't hurt to try. If you're a fan of Chris Brown's and you want something of his, yeah, maybe you should go on and make the trip. And then, you guys, congratulations to Mendices, who will be getting out of jail next month, okay? And he can pick back up the business of being Yandy's husband. All right, now I'm gonna take the wait and see approach on this one, because Mendices has been getting out of jail for the last 3-4 years, you guys. I'm just gonna wait until we know for a fact that his foot is on free ground, and then we'll go from there. But I know that Yandy is happy to get her husband back. They're saying that JBoog is in relations with Omarion's mother. At least they're saying that Moniece has put this out, that JBoog and Omarion's mother are sleeping together. And I was just sort of like, well, what is the problem with that? Actually, you guys, I mean, they're grown, right? They're both two consenting adults. They're grown, and if this is what they want to do, fine. I mean, you just can't help but think about the fact that Omarion's mom, you know, has been around these boys. Well, they're men now, but was around these boys when they were boys. Very, very young, 13, 14, 15. I mean, when did not immature child, B2K hook up? You know, so you would have to think that they had been knowing each other for some years. So she's been knowing him since he was potentially 13, 14, 15 years old. Yeah, that is a little weird. Okay, that's a little weird. All right. But, you know, if you take all that out the background, out the equation, child, you know, her and JBoog, I mean, girl, do what you do. Shit. Kanye's gospel album, you guys, I have listened to the album and it was just okay for me. It's nothing that I feel like I am going to go back to and listen, but I don't feel like I need that type of inspirational album in my life right now. Some people might, okay? It all depends on what your conviction is, what you're going through, what appeals to you. And that's with any type of gospel album or gospel singer, or, you know, gospel music in and of itself. I think it's great that Kanye has been saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, and wants to spread his word to everybody. I'm never going to knock somebody who has found that path back to God, or maybe didn't even never know him, and now they do, and they want to let everybody know. You know, make a joyful noise. All right. My whole thing is Kanye has a bit of obsessive compulsive disorder. And you know, he has a way of kind of latching on to certain things at certain times and go full throttle on it, and then when he's done with it, he kind of just moves on to something else. That's not saying that he's going to do that with this that's happening in his life right now. But again, for the third time today, I'm gonna take a wait and see. You know, I want to see if he is going to stick with something like this, if this is going to be something that because right now he's saying that that's all he's doing is his gospel music. He's not going to be doing his you know, secular type music any longer. And if that's what he chooses to do, fine. But I'm just going to wait and see, because I can't be going back and forth and going through all these things with Kanye. Okay, I ain't got that kind of time or energy. So we gonna continue to love Kanye from afar, and we'll see where it goes from there. That's the best I can give y'all on that one. Now, Solange has put out a statement that she and her husband, Alan Ferguson, have separated or are going through a divorce right now. This was after videos and pictures have surfaced of her with another man. And actually, you guys, I saw videos of her and another guy some months ago. That didn't really blow up like this, but I do remember seeing some stuff before. So I had kind of figured that she and Alan Ferguson had already broken up, and she, you know, she just hadn't said anything about it. But now this is the second time that these videos have come around. So she decided to finally speak on it, saying, yeah, she and Alan had broken up some time ago. She didn't feel the need to make an announcement like this, and that she, like any other normal woman or man that's going through a divorce, is just really trying to figure out their lives and, you know, their intimate relationships with other people, and they ain't feeling like they got to be making announcements and putting their shit out there for everybody to pull apart and, you know, figure out for her. So, like I said, it's hard being a celebrity, because at one point you want to live your life, you know, and then at the other point you want other people to support you, to listen to your music, to come to your concerts, and a lot of that also, as well as them knowing about your life socially. Now, Solange actually does keep her social life, I mean her personal life, much for the most part, off of social media. But you know, once you are a celebrity, people just want to know. So she went on and told y'all. Okay, but so if anybody out there that might be interested in old Solange, she's back on the market. And then lastly, you guys, happy birthday to little Jace out there in Houston. My girl S, you guys know she has a YouTube channel, and her husband, they're celebrating his, what is this? I asked her earlier if he was, this his second birthday, his third birthday. I want to say second. But it might be third, y'all. This time go by so quickly, and child, this memory ain't for shit. But he either 2 or 3, y'all. And shout out to them. They my favorite little family out there in Houston. He 2 or 3, y'all. It's time for the next one to come on down. When can we expect that one, S? All right, you guys, let me get off of here. This is gonna be a long one. Okay, so get on back to work. These motherfuckers are stressing us out about our lunch breaks and all of that. So, you know, I got to get on back, y'all. Make sure that, nope, we do this every single week. So make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you come back. Until next time, rock stars. Bye.